So big news for you Slingshot owners. Soundstream Reserve has officially entered the Slingshot market with their latest radio. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and the best sound to go along with that audio system you know you want to put or have already put in your Slingshot. All right, so if you're not familiar with Soundstream Reserve, they are kings of the radio market for Harley-Davidsons. They're used to things like direct sunlight, heat, vibration, and even weatherproof. And they know how to give you the features you've been looking for in a radio and the best sound while retaining those factory options like your steering wheel controls and the factory backup camera. And everything's plug and play. Let's look at all the parts that we're going to get when you buy the radio. All right, you're going to get a full weatherproof 7-inch display radio with the latest features like wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. I'll take you to the machine here shortly and go over all these features in depth. They're also going to include 2 trim panels. One for those 2018 to 2020 models and 2021 to 2024 models. So you're going to get the bezel to put it in. So whether you do not have a factory radio, have that small PMX head unit, or have a ride command, you're going to get all the parts you need to install this new radio. And if you don't have speakers and amps, don't worry. Volunteer Audio's got you with plenty of plug-and-play kits coming very soon to go along with this. You're also going to include full plug-and-play harnessing. So if you have an 18 to 24 with ride command, you're going to get a harness that makes all of this very easy to just plug in, all weatherproof, including the module to retain those steering wheel controls. If you have that PMX radio, you're also going to get a plug-and-play harness for that as well, with rear outputs that are easy to access. You're going to get a USB cable if you don't have the factory USB. If you've got a stock USB, it's going to be plug and play and retain. And we're going to get a harness to grab that reverse brake signal as well as speed signal for that Apple CarPlay or Android Auto to have the most accurate maps. We're also going to get RCA outputs for our amplifiers for front, rear, subwoofer, and so on. And they're 5-volt and they're clean. We'll go over that more later. Antenna adapter and a GPS antenna if you don't have one factory. All those factory parts, though, are going to stay plug and play. So if you have factory GPS, factory FM antennas, and so on, they're just going to plug into the radio. Let's go to the machine and go more in depth. All right, so I'm in the Slingshot, and first I wanted to talk a little bit about the factory radio and some of the limitations that we saw as we were using it. First off, it's got these rubber buttons that, in my opinion, they just feel very old and dated, something like you'd have on an older calculator. Everything's went to touch panels, everything's went to a better look, which, as you see, our Soundstream radio definitely looks amazing in comparison. So it's got a much higher end feel on the Soundstream radio. The other limitation was phone connectivity. On this factory radio, I did have the ability to do Apple CarPlay. The later Slingshots have Apple CarPlay inside. They do not have Android Auto, and there's some limitations to Apple CarPlay. The Apple CarPlay had to be plugged in via USB for it to work, and you also had to have a wireless headset connected. So I had to connect a set of AirPods or some sort of headset to the radio via Bluetooth, then the wired CarPlay would kick on. Also, I saw that the sound of the radio was not very clear. There's some noises in the background that we were picking up that I could hear through the audio system, but we also had very limited EQ adjustment. So I think we had 4 or 5 bands of EQ adjustment. It wasn't a lot. So let's show you the boot speed, the look, and the connectivity of this new Soundstream SS.1824 radio for Slingshot. All right, so I'm going to boot the radio. Let's see how fast it starts. I love that opening scene. So you have this really nice high-def screen, extremely bright. We'll demonstrate it in the sun a little later in the video. So our radio's turning on, so you see that Soundstream Reserve logo. It's just been a couple seconds now, and here's our home screen. Boom, our Apple CarPlay is on screen. So my phone, wirelessly connected, is now sending audio. We can see what is currently playing. I got the volume down because we can't play copyright-free music at this time. But we have wireless Apple CarPlay that's certified, wireless Android Auto. And the reason I keep saying certified, the low end radios that are coming straight out of China all have bootleg software that doesn't work well. This radio is not that. This is a very high-end manufacturer. They've been doing Harley radios for years now, making sure they handle the abuse of the Harley. They're going to last in your Slingshot, and everything's certified, so there's no risk of it ever not working in the future. Let's talk about the features that we have on here. So we're at the home screen of the radio. You'll see our Apple CarPlay and Android Auto icons for wireless connectivity. They can also be connected through that factory USB. We're going to have AM/FM radio. We're going to have traditional Bluetooth, as well as USB for music on a thumb drive, as well as a backup camera input. The machine we're in is a 2024 Slingshot R, so it has the factory camera, so we'll show that here in a minute, as well as hand controls. And so those steering wheel controls, the camera, all of that still works, all plug and play. Very, very nice. Let's go ahead and hit that camera icon. There's the camera shown right behind us here in the shop. So we do have that factory backup camera. If you don't have a factory camera, you can easily add it. All right, so let's move on. Let's go into the settings menu. I want to show you some things there. So we'll go to settings. All right, let's start here. Just under general, real quickly, we'll see we have an amp turn on delay. Sometimes we need an amp to turn on a little slower to keep it from popping. They're going to give you that. You can also change the language or the area for the radio. So this could really be used anywhere in the world, not just the US market. We're also going to have time. Here we can adjust our time in the radio. It'll also sync to your phone as well. Let's go on to the important part. Sound. I really think the factory radio was really lacking here. It didn't give us much option. So let's start at the top. So we've got fader and balance. You'll see a picture of a Slingshot. As you go into the audio settings, you're going to see you can quickly go through each of the other options. So we can just drag this to the front left, front right, rear left. We can also center it. We can do that fade balance wherever we want to. A lot of times you'll fade it a little to one side or the other because you're not perfectly centered between the speakers. But this radio has another trick. It has time alignment to help with that. But next, let's go into our EQ. Under EQ, we're going to have a lot of preset EQs here, but what I like most is we have the ability to build a custom EQ. And I'm always going to build a custom one because I know the radio stays clean to full volume at flat, but I can come in here and I can actually adjust these where I want them. And as long as I stay below that 0 mark, I know it's going to stay completely crystal clear up to full volume. So as I add my aftermarket amplifiers and my better speakers, I never have to worry about having that distortion that would blow them, but I can still get all of that volume. But again, there's some presets, there's standard, and there's custom. So very, very cool. And it's 16 bands. Factory was like 4 or 5. This gives you a lot of control over your sound. Now, time alignment. This is really cool. So you can take where you normally sit as the rider or the driver, and you can measure the distance from each speaker you've installed, front left, front right, rear speakers, and so on, and give a distance from your head to those speakers, and it's going to take it and delay it in milliseconds automatically to put you in the center of the music. This wasn't important on the Soundstream radios and the Harley because you're perfectly centered between them. But in a Slingshot, you have one basically right at your left leg. You have a bigger distance to the one on the passenger front. You may have a speaker right behind your head, depending on how you've mounted it. This is going to give you the ability to delay those where you're in the center of the music instead of offset to the left. Last but not least, we have a great crossover here. We can actually set crossovers, and we're going to be doing a high pass crossover in this sequence here, and it's going to be blocking the bass below this point, and we can change the slope. What this is going to do is it's going to give us better clarity by, let's say you got a 6.5-inch speaker in the front. A 6.5-inch speaker is not going to try to play bass notes from a subwoofer that a subwoofer would and stay clear at high volumes. This allows us to say set it at 80 hertz. It starts to drop off. It doesn't cut the bass off. It starts to cut the bass down below the frequency the speaker will play. So you still get the music, but you don't get the distortion. Very, very awesome feature that we did not have in the original radio at all. So let's back up one. Let's go through a little bit more. We also have display. We're going to have brightness we can change. We're going to be able to reverse the image of our rear camera if we need that option. We're also going to have the ability to change wallpapers. So there'll be some preset wallpapers in here. You can also load a custom wallpaper via USB, just using a JPEG image, plug into that factory USB, hit the plus, you'll be able to put that on there. Very, very cool to customize your machine. And then as you go back, you also can change the color of the touch buttons. So we can change those. Here's kind of a turquoise blue, they call it cayenne, purple, there's dark blue, green, yellow, red, And we can go back the other way as well. Let's go back. At the beginning of that, we also had white, or you can turn it on a demo mode where it's just going to cycle through those colors. So I know a lot of you love your RGB lighting on your Slingshot. Audio and lighting seem to be the two biggest upgrades that happen. This is going to let you set those buttons to match your machine, whether it be the paint job or the wrap you have, or even the color of the other lights you have. So very, very cool to have all that customization that we can do. Now we got some quick buttons here. We're going to have volume up and down here that we can quickly do that are just touch capacitive buttons. We have a mute button if we want to quickly turn it down or power the radio off. A quick access to settings, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto to get you back to those. So let's say you're listening to FM, you want to see your maps, you can hit that button and quickly go back to your CarPlay navigation or whatever app you want in your phone or your Android, and you can bring that up over top of the music you're listening to. We also have a microphone button that's going to activate your voice assistant, and then we have your home button. Now they do include a microphone with the radio that you can mount here on the dash that'll hear you going down the road for you making those Bluetooth calls or using your voice assistant, and you'll also get your navigation prompts through your speakers. This is an amazing radio. Soundstream Reserve has done it again. They're the first to market, but they also are always going to build us a quality part that is worth putting in your machine. All right, so as you just saw, man, this radio is awesome. The feature set that they've done is amazing, and it is so much better than that ride command unit, that PMX head unit, or the ones of you that don't have a radio at all, absolutely. And it looks great in the sun. It does great with water. If you want to buy one, go to volunteeraudio.com. Use that link above that came on screen and pre-order your radio today. We expect them toward the end of September, actually about September 22nd. But as soon as they're available, we already have them on order from Soundstream. You'll get it faster from Volunteer Audio than anywhere else, and you'll get the best service. At Volunteer Audio, we're going to give you lifetime tech support. So if you have questions on how to use the radio, how to install it, we're here to help. But on top of that, we have great step-by-step install videos. If you want to learn more about what it takes to put it in, watch our full video we've already done on this machine as we go into great detail there. Like this video. If you do that, it's free to you, and it helps us and other people that have Slingshots to find this video. We want them to see it because they're going to be excited about this new radio as well. Comment below and let me know what you think about the radio. What do you think about the upgrade? What it added to the machine? And also let me know, what do you think you would want to see if there's anything missing or any features? The guys at Soundstream always watch. Let me know what you want to see on maybe a higher featured model that may come out later, what you'd like to have added to it. Also, subscribe to Volunteer Audio. By doing so, you're going to find all of our other videos. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook for those step-by-step videos, but also our full speaker upgrade videos we're going to be doing. We'll be showing various pods that can be installed, subwoofers, amplifiers, and the full plug-and-play packages we're going to offer at Volunteer Audio. So you're going to want to subscribe to see all those videos and see what you could add to this radio to build your system and make it even better. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, God bless.